Come in! No, I haven't seen the article they made on you. Here, let me pull it up. What the hell? Why are they comparing crowd control? Wait a second. Blemishine is very versatile, but she is generally outclassed by Saria, who fills many of the same roles but does so more reliably. This is slander! Don't worry, Blemmy, I'm packing my suitcase right now. We're going to court with this man. I'll hire my best lawyer. Dude, get out of my office. We don't have the money to do this. We're broke. Alright, let me see this article. Oh, wow. He actually has a point. This analysis is garbage. Let's see if we can do you one better. Many people seem to undermine Blemishine's kit, commonly comparing her to Saria because they both draw some similarities, mainly being of the defender class and healing. Either people sum her up as Saria is better, or synergizes with Mudrock. And while the latter is true, her entire purpose isn't to exist just so Mudrock can swing her S2 faster. In this video, I'll do a full comprehensive guide on Blemishine and analyze the areas where she excels in, as well as some of her main weaknesses. Note that since this video is a spotlight on a specific operator, all the visuals for the skills will be shown at Mastery 3 to see their highest potential. Blemishine's first talent is Sword and Shield, which allows operators with defensive recovery skills to also gain 1 SP when attacking. This talent is great for Blemishine herself, since both of her main skills, her second and third skills, are defensive recovery skills. Sword and Shield decreases the downtime of defensive SP charges by allowing ally operators to charge by both smacking enemies and getting smacked. This talent is also why people love saying she synergizes with Mudrock. Since Mudrock's S2 is defensive recovery based, having Blemishine down on the field increases its trigger rate significantly, sometimes so much so that in my runs, Mudrock will leak enemies from not enough DPS because I didn't bring Blemishine. Mudrock is the most significant operator affected by this talent, but Liskarm, Hong, Croissant, and other defender operators can also benefit from Blemishine's Sword and Shield. Her second talent, Mercy, allows her to attack enemies that are sleeping. Only 3 operators can trigger enemies to go into a sleep state. Sora, Blemishine herself, and Kafka, a 5-star fast redeploy coming soon with Mansfield Break. At Elite 2, she does an extra 40% damage to sleeping enemies with an added 4% if you have her at pot 5. Out of her entire kit, only Blemishine's second skill puts enemies to sleep, giving her some synergy with Mercy. Since using Sora or Kafka in attempt to synergize with Blemishine takes up squad space that could be used for more reliable operators, I doubt many people will see usage of this talent outside her second skill. Alright guys, what are some thoughts on her skills? They have decent healing. They make her do some nice damage. They synergize with Mudrock. Surging Brilliance is Blemishine's first skill. It is an automatic skill that recovers SP per second. With Surging Brilliance, Blemishine's next attack will deal 260% physical damage and heal an ally in the 8 surrounding tiles for 150% of her attack. She can hold up to 3 charges with this skill. There are many reasons why this skill is practically never used. The first obvious reason is that her second and third skills are just outright better in terms of healing and damage. However, the main problem with the skill is the skill itself. It is an automatic skill, meaning Blemishine will often waste the damage and healing by smacking enemies nonchalantly instead of using the charges when they're needed the most. She also loses out on synergizing with both of her talents, so the skill is often disregarded when using Blemishine in the squad. There are some special situations where you might want to use this one, but I often prefer the damage and healing on her other skills. Her second skill, Deterring Radiance, increases her attack and immediately gives sleep, a status that makes enemies invulnerable and unblockable to any enemies on her tile while healing allies in an increased range around her for 20% of her attack per second. Note that she can put enemies to sleep that she is not blocking but are still on the same tile as her. Blemishine's S2 utilizes both her talents since it is a defensive recovery based skill that also puts enemies to sleep as well. There are many advantages to using Deterring Radiance. You may think that the healing is a little weak because it is only 20% of her attack, but because of how Arknights math works, it is 20% of her attack after the additive bonus of the skill. Deterring Radiance allows her to heal all operators simultaneously in her range, making it a very strong option for AoE healing. The healing is also passive healing, which is basically healing that can bypass operators such as Mudrock or Heliger's traits that make him unhealable to allies, which is why many people like to shove down your throat that she synergizes with Mudrock. Because she only needs 12 SP to have the skill up, the downtime is very short as well, making it practically spammable when she is blocking 3 enemies. The sleep from Deterring Radiance also allows for some great stalling as well as attack cancel animation shenanigans. One thing I notice with Blemishine's sleep is that enemies that are in the sleep state are unblockable, meaning she can block up to 6 enemies. Another thing to note is that since the enemies become blockable once they are out of their sleep state, you can effectively redirect block with Blemishine. Here in this footage, I use Blemishine's S2 to sleep the enemies and then place Spectre right in front of her. When the enemies wake up, instead of Blemishine blocking them, Spectre is blocking them instead, allowing me to get some extra damage with her invulnerability. Another cool thing you can do with Deterring Radiance is attack cancel. Albeit it may be a bit precise, but since you can manually activate her second skill, Blemishine can put enemies to sleep before they finish their attack animation. These two things I found are pretty niche but useful in general in the scope of Blemishine's kit. Divine Avatar is Blemishine's third skill. She gains the same amount of additive attack as her second skill, but this time with every strike, Blemishine deals 2 hits, 1 physical and 1 arts. She also gains a 60% boost in defense and will heal allies besides herself for 100% of her attack with every hit. Divine Avatar, just like her second skill, shares the same healing range as well as the SP charge type, which is defensive. Her third skill differentiates from Deterring Radiance with a longer uptime as well as losing the passive healing. Blemishine will also need to hit enemies in order to heal her allies. A few things to note on the skill is that it has the highest heal per second in the game, with the obvious catch that Blemishine can't heal herself. It also doesn't provide any sleep effects, so Blemishine loses synergy with her second talent here. Even though Blemishine may be a defender, her damage with this skill shouldn't be underestimated, dealing a whopping 2100 DPS when this skill is up. Now that we've taken a good look at Blemishine's skills and talents, we can finally evaluate her as a whole. Many people put Blemishine into the traditional healer-defender role, and while she is a defender and her kit does involve healing allies, I wouldn't be so quick to jump the gun. Taking an overall look at her skills, Blemishine's main way of healing allies is hitting enemies. Unlike Gummy, Neural, or Saria, who can heal without enemies in the area, Blemishine requires hitting enemies to heal. This is especially evident from her second and third skills, which are defensive recovery and, with her sword and shield talent, offensive recovery skills, technically. Defensive and offensive recovery skills can't charge if the operator doesn't get hit or hits anything, meaning Blemishine will have trouble charging her skills when no enemies are around. Not having enemies around is Blemishine's big weakness since it gives you less control over her skills. However, when enemies are around, Blemishine will kick some major... There's a good reason why I said you shouldn't classify her as a traditional healer defender. She actually does damage. Blemishine is a strong, independent woman who don't need no DPS carry. She is a jack of all trades with decent defense, healing, and damage all in one. Now, my very dear viewer, do you enjoy pizza? Of course! Everyone enjoys pizza. If you don't enjoy pizza, please unsubscribe. I'm just kidding. I need all the subs I can get. Don't unsubscribe. Now imagine you're eating a lovely pizza, and one day your friend goes up to you and says, "Why do you put tomato sauce on your pizza? You could honestly just substitute it out with ketchup. They're both tomato based anyways." For anyone who isn't a psychopath, that friend of yours would no longer be your friend. And this is how I feel when people try comparing Saria and Blemishine. They may be both defenders at heal, but their uses are entirely different. Saria is defensive based, unlike Blemishine, who is offensive based. Saria's healing does not require hitting anything. Many people love acknowledging this difference, but don't realize that this trade-off Blemishine sacrifice is being able to do damage. Saria has amazing arts damage amplification with her third skill, which Blemishine doesn't have, but Blemishine has the highest heal per second in the game on top of some amazing DPS. And for some reason, people also like to argue that Saria is better in the sense that Saria can regenerate SP for all operators, unlike Blemishine, who mainly does it for defenders. But like, you can't really measure that directly. I mean, sure, you can compare how many operators Saria SP batteries compared to Blemishine, but the potency of the talent is a major factor in SP generation. You can only really assert that Saria is more versatile in the SP generation field because Blemishine's sword and shield talent only gives boost to defensive recovery SP regen, while Saria can SP battery anyone who can be healed, but this doesn't make Saria straight up better. Some people may argue that damage on a healing defender isn't necessary, but in my very personal humble opinion, it's just a playstyle preference. For me, I enjoy using Blemishine and her expansive kit, while others prefer the traditional stoic healer defender role. If you're someone who pursues high risk and contingency contract, don't worry. Saria and Blemishine have both their share of max risk possibilities, and to anyone who did not pull for her, you're missing out on a lot of cuteness. Blemishine's kit is very different from what many people put her in. She is a healer defender, but functions very differently from her predecessors. She features great offensive options while being able to heal at the same time. Saria and Blemishine can't be directly compared and shouldn't be. So stop doing it.